any talking points on the art?
I don't have the art. No, mine are just
Oh, you have
the
the.
ambassadors. I know. I just
Can't keep it straight.
I went over to Tammy and I was like, I don't have any notes.
That's right. All right.
I know. I had the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, don't do that. I'll say something.
Okay. Yeah.
From a baby girl in my district, and her mom was here. S'mores? You don't like them?
They changed the packet.
They did look. Girl Scout is fancy.
S'mores.
Oh.
Girl Scout s'mores. Yeah, new packaging. Fancier.
So I guess I ordered these while I was hungry because I ordered 4 boxes. So I'm just, I don't know.
When I was pregnant, I had gestational diabetes and bought all these Girl Scout cookies, and I had to put them in the freezer until my pregnancy.
Well, they do
I
keep
had
in the
it too,
freezer.
twice.
They do keep in the freezer.
I had a bowl of ice cream like the afternoon my daughter was born.
Giving up sugar, wine, and Coke all the same time.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
When I say I've heard.
Did you do the shots? Can I check your blood?
The rest of my body is breaking down.
Don't do this to me, please.
Don't give me the
Where did
diabetes
Adrian
too.
go?
The diabetes. No, that's what we were like. We prayed, like, please, Lord, please don't do that to me.
That was terrible. Terrible.
Is she okay?
Well, look, you don't have gestational diabetes. Got caught by
Okay.
people.
Save her, save her.
Me, that's
Oh, I know.
I know. You only
Yes, they were.
Oh, yeah, he and I shared an office over to me. Oh, yes.
He was my basketball coach. He was my basketball coach in MLK freshman through senior year. And when I say he gave me the best soft skill life advice, like, look, I'm debating doing because our head coach, is kind of a butt to us, our senior year. And he was like, she's gonna yell at you, but just take one thing away from what she said. And I'm like, don't take the rest of it personally. And for what
Did you tell Melissa that?
good? Yeah, but he was just awesome.
That you're going to pull it just for discussion? She might be nervous.
Oh yeah, no, I asked her in the background. She said I could make comments. We can't say more. So I'm just gonna say, listen.
Okay. Yes.
And for the
We
rest
do
of
not
it,
want to be
and we
illustrating
are
this.
taking this seriously.
Yes.
It makes me mad saying
Oh, it does me too. It does me too.
I tried to dress this. You did too.
Yep, I did. In fact, the last conversation I did that, and I said, are you going to address? I don't remember that. I don't have the desk. I said, you have $100,000 money. That's why I said, all right, Sean, you gave me no choice. Okay, ladies, we're going to start this meeting.
I guess my thing is, don't you get paid more as a high school? Like, wouldn't you aspire to be? Oh, I mean, not to. My turn.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this wonderful school board meeting night. If you were fortunate enough to hear the Hillsborough Choir just sing, then you did see the best part of the meeting for tonight. They were absolutely amazing, and I hope that you got to hear them. They actually gave me chills. They were so good. They were wonderful. So I'll call this meeting to order. We have a quorum, and I think I saw Council Lady Delicia Porterfield enter the room. Did I see? There she is. Miss Porterfield, can you lead us in the pledge, please?
Thank you so much for this opportunity. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Lady. Dr. Battle, you want to take it over right now? It's the ambassadors. Yeah, the good news. Okay. So we're under the end of the good news is portion of our agenda tonight. And first we have the high school ambassadors from Hillwood High School. If you would like to come to the podium and share with us your experiences.
All right, hi.
Hi.
Sorry, it took a little prompting there. First time at the board, but I would just like to say, first, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm really excited to be here. And of course, thank you for everything that you do for our schools and by extension for me personally. So I'm really excited to tell you about my experience with the academies today. And I know my friend Anui here has some really cool things to say to you too. So my name is Catherine Wright. I have attended MNPS schools for my entire life, an experience I have wholeheartedly enjoyed. I've gained a strong academic foundation from the multitude of absolutely outstanding teachers I've had over the past almost 13 years in MNPS classrooms at Harpeth Valley Elementary School, Bellevue Middle School, and now Hillwood High School. As a senior at Hillwood, I will graduate with 45 credits, 23 of which are AP courses or AP level courses. When I'm not in the classroom, I can be found as the captain of the varsity soccer team, president of National Honor Society, a student ambassador, and oftentimes accidentally spending an hour talking to my teachers after school.
Accidentally.
Really, like you just look up and it's 3 and I'm like, what? When did that happen? We need to go home. Anyway, I also attend the School for Science and Math at Vanderbilt, or SSMV. I know you heard from my good friend Mert 2 weeks ago. I guess he's pretty cool or whatever. And I can fully attest to his statements about how significant that the opportunities given to us by the SSMV have been in developing skills as a scientist, but also in developing a perspective on how to make a difference in the world. I'm the one that did the solar oven project that you might have heard about from our director, Dr. Eads, a few weeks ago. And that project was really the first one that made me consider a career in STEM. However, of all my academic and extracurricular involvements, the single aspect of my high school education which has been most formative in figuring out what I want to do with my life has been through the academies. So I'm going to ask you to rewind a little bit. Imagine me as a little 8th, 9th grader. So there I was, a timid freshman with a love for learning, but no serious idea of what I wanted to pursue in life. But when the time came to choose the academy that I would join starting my sophomore year, a choice needed to be made. So I was not strongly drawn to any academy and, quite frankly, not excited about the prospect of choosing a path for myself at such a young age. Don't worry, there's a twist. But at the time, I joined the Health Science Academy because I thought it would be the most rigorous. But as I learned about the body systems in my health science education class, I was, to my surprise, fascinated. Following 10th grade, I took 2 classes per year within my academy. As a junior in my diagnostic services class, I learned about the process of a visit to a healthcare facility from the doctor's perspective, from inquiring about the patient's chief complaint to knowing which test to order from the lab. I also took dual enrollment anatomy and physiology / medical terminology, where we dove into body systems in greater depth on par with a college class. With these classes, I began to form a picture of what career may be in store for me beyond high school. And because of the opportunities given to me within the Health Science Academy, this picture has already started coming to life during my senior year. I'm taking 2 classes this year for which I will test for industry certifications. My cardiovascular services class, which involves a mixture of lectures and hands-on practice doing EKGs on my classmates in Hillwood's Simulation Medical Clinic, is preparing me to be a certified EKG technician. With my clinical internship class, in which students are placed in a local healthcare facility to shadow healthcare professionals, I'm bridging the gap between textbook learning and real-life experiences. I personally am stationed in the pediatric emergency room at Centennial Medical Center, and getting to witness the intricacies of the diagnostic process for myself has only solidified my interest in pursuing medicine. For this class, I will test to be a certified clinical medical assistant. So as a senior, in the thick of the college process, I feel like I've done literally a million college interviews in the last few months. But one unifying factor among all these interviews is the discussion of my experiences in the Health Science Academy. In discussing what I'm interested in pursuing, I have experiences that illustrate my commitment to and passion for my interests. This level of direction and experience within a specific career field during high school is something I consider relatively unique and something for which I am extremely grateful. So thanks to the academies, you'll be able to call me Catherine Wright, certified EKG tech and certified clinical medical assistant before I even receive my diploma. And later, when I become Catherine Wright, MD, I'll never forget where it all started in the Hillwood Academy of Health Sciences.
Great job.
Shaken and dismayed by a brand new school, surrounded by unfamiliar faces, I walked into the first day of high school, frightened by the uncertainty of my own future. For the first couple of weeks, my class failed to catch my interest, leaving me to daydream and doze off throughout the day. Without any clear goals in mind, I lacked drive. I lacked motivation. I lacked purpose. But little did I know that Hillwood High School, home of the Hill Toppers, offered each and every one of its students endless opportunities with constant support from teachers and mentors who are deeply invested in the growth and success of their students. Good afternoon. My name is Nui Do, and I'm here this evening to talk about my experience at Hillwood High School and the Metro Nashville school system. Each morning, I am greeted by the welcoming, glowing smiles of each of my teachers. Whether it be in the wide variety of AP classes Hillwood has to offer or the extracurricular programs the school proudly invests into, my teachers ensure that I understand what's going on and that I am prepared. Beginning my freshman year, I joined the Model United Nations and Youth and Government teams, a completely brand new program at Hillwood. Model UN and Youth and Government are conferences held every year by the Tennessee YMCA Center for Civic Engagement to encourage political participation and civic awareness among students. I, along with my advisor, Miss Alexa Claremont, worked to build the program, encouraging the Hillwood student body to be active within their communities and understand that their voices matter. We all know that youth voter turnout is an issue within our state and across the nation, and I deeply analyzed and commented on this problem in my piece published in the Tennessean. In it, I wrote, "It will be democracy that allows for today's youth to bring about a revolution of new leaders with the hope and ambition to go head on with society's greatest threats." These 4 years constantly working with my advisor on what we can do to improve and better our work, I grew to realize that my advisor was ingrained with a passion to empower and amplify the voice of youth. She knew the importance and the issues of our time and worked her hardest to ensure each and every student a part of the program was learning to think independently and develop their own opinions and ideas. This was my first glimpse into the dedication inherently found among my teachers. Last semester, I had an opportunity of a lifetime to travel to Chengdu, China for an international debate tournament. Although an overseas trip to a foreign country seemed daunting, I took my chances and joined along with my debate partner and debate coach to represent not only Hillwood, but our city of Nashville on a trip to build crucial diplomatic relations between international cities. I was awestruck by the unimaginable beauty of the city of Chengdu, rich in its culture and its history. I developed long-lasting and unforgettable relationships with my host family as well as the Chinese debaters. And if it were not for my teachers' diligence to fill out paperwork, help me prepare for the tournament, stay after school to help me catch up on missing assignments, or email me homework from thousands of miles away while I was in China, I strongly believe that the trip would never have happened, nor would I have been able to finish off the semester with good grades. Hillwood High School will always be a home to me, one known for its diversity and its strong community. But what has completely defined my high school experience was the dedication and investment my teachers have put into my own success and well-being. However, our government continues to neglect and disregard our public school teachers by failing to recognize teachers' important role in our society. I hope that my experience is able to illustrate the impact that teachers have on students' lives, because if my teachers were to be uncommitted to my future, I would not stand here before you today having found my drive, my motivation, my purpose to amplify the voices of those who need it most. Public education gave young people like me the gift of passion and individuality, and this is why we must continue to support our teachers and our public schools. My high school experience has shaped me into who I am today, and to my teachers and to the good old Hillwood High, I am forever grateful. Thank you.
I'm sorry, as Dr. Schaefer comes up, I just have to shout him out because he was my high school basketball coach. And unbeknownst to him, he really did pour into me. So good job, Schaefer.
Sheep dog.
Yeah.
So good.
Nothing wrong with that. It's not nothing wrong with that. Oh, so good. I just wish more people could see this.
Hey, Schaefer.
To the gentleman, I was a youth and government, sir. I'm a YMCA Youth and Government alum. I was Youth Governor of Pennsylvania, so this is where it could lead you. So 20 years from now, you could be in my seat. So I'd love to see a YMCA Youth and Government alum because this is why I'm in politics. So.
And I'm a Hilltopper graduate. Go Hilltoppers. Woo, 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 woo.
Wait, don't
Wait,
go there.
don't leave yet. Don't leave, Ms. Brogue.
I just want to say really quick, these are both obviously two extraordinary students, and they probably don't know this, but I have followed their careers, both through my own children and on social media and the news releases, and I just can't wait to see where they go. But they're representative of what our schools can provide for our kids. Also wanted to commend the parents. Catherine's parents out there. Mom had a little tear in her eye, and she's obviously, her parents are a big part of who she is. But what's really great about her family is that they really have advocated for all kids in our cluster. They are there trying to support work that that for the children that don't have the support she has at home. So anyway. That kind of community and parent involvement really makes a difference in our schools. And finally, I just want to say thank you to Dr. Schaefer, who has just done extraordinary things at Hillwood and has provided great leadership. So anyway, I'm so proud to be part of this group here, and thank you for coming tonight and sharing your stories.
Ms. Pooper Walker, do you want to comment on the? You want to comment on the musical performance?
Yes. So we were fortunate tonight to hear the Hillsborough High School Chorus, who, under the direction of Miss Janelle Gansky, they performed Dream of the City in honor of Black History Month, and they were a delight to see tonight. So thank you to Hillsborough for sending your talented students to us.
Ms. Frida, Frida Porter, we can't even talk.
That's okay. It's a handful, a mouthful. We have the Margaret Allen Middle School artwork. There were posts embossing. So before you leave, I hope you have a chance to see the posters and the artwork on the easel about the Margaret Allen students. And they created these wonderful embossed works, and students were asked to create original line design. And they began by creating a preliminary sketch of their design. And then the sketch was transferred to a sheet by metal retracting the sketch and then creating an impression onto metal. The students reinforced the lines of their design by recreating a repost or embossing effect. After adhering the design to paper, the students extended the design on the paper, and their art teacher is Toby Green. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will turn the podium over to Dr. Battle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And now we would like to recognize an MNPS student who did an amazing and wonderful thing. Taylor M. Bell, a sophomore in Army JROTC member at Antioch High School, was playing with her sister at a community pool around 1:30 on Labor Day last year when she saw a young boy's arms flailing at his head bobbed under the water. At first, Taylor wasn't sure if the boy needed help or was just playing, but when she saw him gasp for air, Taylor went into action. She immediately jumped in the water, picked up the boy, laid him over her arm, and patted his back. When he coughed up water, she got him out of the pool and sat with him until he started breathing normally again, and his father rushed over to be with him. Taylor didn't panic at a challenging moment. She didn't scream for someone else to take charge of the situation. Instead, she calmly got to work and saved this young child from drowning. She saved his life. For her cool head, her quick action, and her bravery, Taylor has been honored by the United States Army Cadet Command with its ROTC Medal of Heroism. And I can't think of a better word to describe what Taylor did that day. Taylor, you are a hero. And I want to thank you on behalf of Metro Nashville Public Schools for what you did that Labor Day afternoon. Thank you for the way you represent Antioch High School, your junior ROTC program, and our entire school district. Thank you. And at this time, Taylor, if you would come on up to the podium.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for this. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Wow, not once would I ever think I would be here. Wow, okay. Hi, good afternoon. My name is First Lieutenant Bell. I would like to say thank you for this. Honestly, this has been crazy. Wow, okay. Hi. When I did this, I didn't even think about myself. I was like, I need to help this kid. This kid is more important. I saw him and I was like, wow, I don't know if he needs help or if, he's just playing, and he needed help. And that's when I sprung into action. I was like, mind over matter, you have to do it. There's no time. Every second counts. I myself am planning on going into the U.S. Army and becoming a combat medic. So I think that was, one step towards that, helping people and things like that. But I would like to say thank you for everything, and thank you for presenting this award to me.
And the awards read as Department of Army, 7th Brigade, U.S. Army Cadet Command. The Medal of Heroism is awarded to Cadet Taylor M. Bell for exceptional heroic act in preventing a young child from drowning while at Mountain View Community Pool. Ms. Bell acted swiftly and courageously to remove the drowning child out of the water, providing assistance at the side of the pool. Her quick thinking and heroic actions saved the young boy's life, reflecting great credit upon herself, Antioch High School, and the United States Army JRTC program.
Yay.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Absolutely. Get everybody in the shot.
Thank you.
I don't know about y'all, but I love these first meetings of the month because we get to hear from or witness the talents of all the students, and just a cross-section of the students in our schools, the first meeting of every month. And, I think that just reaffirms this is what we do and this is why we do it. So hopefully that you and the viewing audience enjoys, witnessing these students and their aspirations and their accomplishments as much as I do. And thank you for being here to hear that. Next, we'll move on to public participation. The board will hear from those persons who have requested to appear at this board meeting. In the interest of time, speakers are requested to limit their remarks to 3 minutes or less. Comments will be timed. The names are on the monitors across the room, so as you see your name approaching, please approach the podium so we can keep the line moving steadily, please. And the first person on the list is Liza Ramage.
Good evening, board members. My name is Liza Ramage. I live at 1400 Rosa L. Parks Boulevard in Nashville, and I'm a member of the Education Task Force of NOAA. I think all of us here agree that that we want every Nashville child to receive a top quality education. We know K through 12 education is one of the most important formative factors in any person's life. But there are special barriers for our Black and brown children and all children who live in poverty. From what I hear, you have included in your budget many of the programs I came to advocate for. So I've had to change my speech. Top on our agenda have been the care centers and specially trained care center specialists. Perhaps these have morphed into advocacy centers at every elementary school, which is wonderful. We would want to be sure that the specialists at each of the schools is trained in trauma-informed care and de-escalation and all the things that a person needs in that position. We want to thank you for budgeting an additional restorative specialist. If that's true, that will bring the specialists back to 4, which will put 1 in each cluster, and I hope that's the case, and we thank you. We also thank you for restorative practice assistance in every middle and high school. I hope that that's what has been budgeted. This would be an important step in providing training, coaching, and support for restorative practices in our middle schools and high schools, which really need that. With your full support for these positions and this training, we will stop shoving our students into the school-to-prison pipeline. We will instead educate them in the important skills they need to become productive adults and engaged citizens in our growing city. Thank you so much.
Doug Lukes?
Yes, my name is Doug Lucas. My address is 1325 Fifth Avenue North, zip code 37208, and I'm on NOAA's Education Task Force. Our concerns about socio-emotional learning and restorative practices fit into the larger concern about racial equity in our schools. We, as NOAA, recognize, as the Chamber does, that all children deserve access to a high-quality education, regardless of racial barriers. But in order to achieve this ideal, we have to focus on racial equity. This does not mean that we just treat every child the same, even as we recognize that every child is special, but that we recognize the unique struggles children face because of racism. We must provide the extra support that our African American children need because both of a legacy of and a persistence of institutional and systemic racism. Also, many teachers relate to African American students differently than other students due to subconscious implicit bias, and this needs to be overcome. MNPS should prioritize programs that seek equity and diversity. This would, among other things, ensure equitable distribution of resources across schools and programs, understanding the students' demographic and economic profiles and allocating funding where it is most needed. Regarding equity, please consider children who live in disadvantaged neighborhoods cannot rely on their parent-teacher organization to raise funds to provide school supplies, textbooks, or even teachers, and so are left to struggle with many of these resources. Other children living in affluent neighborhoods attend schools with a vibrant PTO and enjoy essential education resources that other children are missing. Children in disadvantaged neighborhoods have schools where often their classes have a teacher that is among the least experienced teachers in the district, or various administrators, counselors, and substitute teachers serve as temporary teachers for their classes, rather than them having the continuity of a single teacher throughout the year. These are two different systems, school systems, within the same district. To the challenges I've identified, add the reality that these children often have significant adverse childhood experiences and require trauma-informed socioeconomic learning support, social-emotional learning support, Are we serious about equity? Per pupil spending in MNPS is 19th among 20 similar-sized districts. So members of the Board of Education, please aggressively seek equity. One, by supporting a budget that has enough money to address the concerns we have presented here this evening, and two, allocating the funds that come to you, even if they do not meet your standards for fully funded budget, using equity as your guide to prioritization process. We look forward to staying in relationship with you on these critical matters. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Reverend Troy Barrett.
Good evening to the chair and to the board members and the staff and faculty of all the schools, the great schools of Nashville. I'm Reverend Troy Merritt. I'm the presiding elder of the Nashville District African Methodist Episcopal Church, and also a member of the NOAA Education Committee. And NOAA represents 67 organizations, faith-based, community organizations, and unions. And so tonight I want to talk about and thank you and commend you for the work, the progress that has been made over the last few years. ProPublica, the organization that produces findings in the public interest, has indicated that African American students are 5 times more likely than white students to be suspended. Yet progress has been made in addressing some of the issues as it relates to incidents, where we still have a problem with the percentages of brown students who wind up being punished. The same source shows that in Davidson County, black students are 3 times as likely as white students to be suspended for basically the same infractions. Our district is 42% African American, 30% white. We applaud you, MNPS, for instating the disciplinary policy in 2019 that puts a stop to suspensions and police officer involvement with children in K-4 classrooms. I thought somebody would clap on that. However, we are concerned that we want to see that the support needed, the training of people, the frontline people who work with the students, is in place. We need to ensure that this policy continues to have the desired effect. So tonight, we are, as already been announced, that you have looked at the budget and have prioritized some of the approaches that will help eliminate not only discipline problems for African American and brown students, but all students, by using some of the approaches of positive orientation and classroom management that allows a child to get back into the graces of the classroom. We believe there's a commitment, and we applaud you for the commitment. We're all here tonight to work together, to collaborate in making it, again, this the greatest city school system around. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend. Amanda Kell.
Good evening, Dr. Battle and members of the board. My name is Amanda Kale. I am the president of the Metro Nashville Education Association. I'm also a teacher and 5 years at Margaret Allen Middle School, so I'm happy to see their artwork here. I am here, first of all, to say thank you for being advocates for our children and for Nashville's public schools. I am greatly heartened by this budget. I see a sincere commitment to making the asks of what our schools really need. And I'm thrilled to see that. And what I want to say is that we here as teachers, I have a lot of folks in red behind me, we're here to fight with you for this budget. And so I just wanted to say, you know, at MNEA, we have launched a campaign called Dignity in the Classroom. The things that we are fighting for in that campaign is that every student has a certified teacher in every classroom, that certificated educator salary averages move to meet the averages of other professionals in Nashville of similar years of experience and degree, that there is a $15 an hour minimum wage for all MNPS employees, that there are mandatory annual step raises and longevity pay to prevent wage stagnation, that we have the social and emotional supports that truly meet our students' needs, and that we provide all required instructional material for all students. These are things I see in this budget, and so as I said, I am greatly heartened. We are asking you not only to pass a budget that ensures these needs, but we are asking also that you advocate for the funding that will ensure that it happens. And it needs to be funding that is recurring and sustainable. And, you know, I'm going to say it, we need a tax rate adjustment here in this city. We need it. We've heard from city leaders who insist that property tax rate increase will harm vulnerable homeowners, but failure to fund public schools perpetuates poverty in our city. Years of chronic underfunding of our public schools have caused great harm to our students and their ability to achieve academic success. Low stagnant wages and a lack of resources have driven many educators from their profession, which results in thousands of students who can no longer expect to find a teacher, let alone a textbook in every classroom. Educators struggled to provide classroom resources out of their own pockets while also struggling to make ends meet. And while so many of our students live in poverty, current levels of funding can no longer guarantee even the basic requirements of education, let alone a path to a better life. We find this situation, we the teachers, find this situation unacceptable. So we call on you, our elected board, to take bold action in passing a 2021 budget that includes all of what is really necessary to meet our students' needs. And then we're asking that you use your voice to lobby for the funding. Thank you.
Thank you. Jack Wiley. Jack Wiley here tonight? Not here? Okay. Kristen Lockhart? No, Kristen Lockhart? Okay. Moving down. Susan Norwood? Okay.
Hello, school board members and Dr. Battle. My name is Susan Norwood. I've been teaching for 13 years, and 12 of those 13 have been in MNPS. I'm an English teacher at McGavick High School, where I've been for 8 years now. I want to talk about dignity in the classroom. Dignity is defined as the state or quality of being worthy of respect. Teachers are not respected in regard to our pay, and we endure a lot of stress to be paid so little. Just last week, a student told me that he had another job for me, meaning a second job, and he handed me a crumpled up piece of paper. Well, there have been recruiters at the school hoping to hire students. I uncrumpled the little piece of paper and saw that it was about a job as a lifeguard at Soundwaves that paid $11 to $12 an hour. And I said, no, that doesn't pay enough, and it's too hard work to watch, keep people from drowning. And he said to me, well, I'd rather be a lifeguard than a teacher, even if it pays less, because you all aren't paid enough to put up with all the stuff you have to put up with. According to an article in yesterday's Tennessean, a front page article, Metro teachers have failed to get raises tied to the cost of living in 7 of the past 12 years, or as long as I've been in Metro. This year, the mayor was proud to give teachers a 3% cost of living adjustment that began in late January. Well, this did not adjust my pay to the cost of living in Nashville. My paycheck was $27 more, or $2.70 a day, which is not even enough to buy a school lunch. At the same time, in January, my rent went up for my 2-bedroom apartment. It went up $275, and my water bill's going up, and I can't make it on this salary. How am I doing? Given my education, which includes a master's degree in reading, and the number of hours that I work a week, I should be financially secure, but I am not. I work at least 10 extra hours a week in order to plan lessons for 3 different classes and grade the papers of 160 students. I would not mind working the extra hours if I had a salary upon which I could live comfortably. The effect of financial stress is driving teachers out of the classroom. Teachers are taking frequent sick days. Ask students who is teaching them. Is it a sub or a certificated teacher? In my school, as in others, we can't even get enough subs, so teachers are asked to give up planning time to cover for absent teachers, which adds to our stress. I looked at the number of job openings for certificated teachers in MNPS yesterday on the website, and it shows 173 openings. And to me, that's a lot of classrooms that are potentially being watched by subs and thousands of kids who don't have a certificated teacher in the classroom. Given that our job is so important, our city needs to show us that we are valued by substantially raising our salaries. Thank you.
Thank you. Cassie Norton.
Hi, I'm Cassie Norton. I live at 3600 Hillsborough Pike. I'm a first-year teacher, and sorry, I'm upset because I had kind of a rough day. As I'm sure many of us who came here straight from school did. I don't know if I can stay teaching forever, and that makes me really sad because this is not my first career. I came back to school to be a teacher, and I really love the students that I work with, and sorry. I thought I would have time to prepare a statement today, but I woke up early to work on grading, and then I got to school early because I host a club before school for LGBTQ students, which I love, but it's hard because they often don't feel loved by the adults in their lives, so my days start off a little rough sometimes with them. And then at planning, I had 2 different meetings. I heard that, yeah. And then at lunch, I had a student in my room. We were registering for high school classes today, and he had an anxiety attack about the transition to high school. And so I was sitting with him at lunch, so I didn't have time to plan statements. But I just think about how much was put on us. And I know a lot of other new teachers, some of them do not have other career experiences like I have where they've gotten training in ACEs or de-escalation, and they're struggling even more than I am because we're not given any social and emotional support, really. I was so proud when I heard that Nashville is a city that embraces restorative practice. That was something really important to me when I was looking for a job as a new teacher. And I think that it's good that we're looking for funding for more of those positions, but we don't do enough. A lot of the teachers I've talked to who have been teaching much longer than me are frustrated by the restorative practice because they feel like they're given no support to make it happen. They've never actually been trained to do it. There's nobody in the building that can help them. And so we're all kind of struggling through something that we believe in but don't know how to put in place and haven't been given support for. And then on top of that, we're going home and we're working more, or we have a second job. I don't have a second job. I'm really lucky that I don't, but I also don't have kids or a house, and I don't know that I could have those things. And that makes me sad. It makes me sad that I have to go home and order a whole bunch more pencils and journals on Amazon tonight because I have students that have run out of spaces in their journals and are coming to class and saying, I can't do any more work because my mom can't buy me another journal. Or I don't have anything to write with today. And that's just basic materials. I also don't have enough copies of textbooks. I never have technology access in my classroom. My projector doesn't always work, so I don't even have that. And so I just think of someone who is new to this, who went back to school to do this, and I want to tell other people, you should be a teacher. I want to tell my students, you should be a teacher, but how can I do that when I feel like I can't keep doing it? Thank you.
Thank you. Laura Dietrich. Is Miss Dietrich here tonight? Laura Dietrich? No. Okay. Mary Graham.
Hello, Dr. Battle and members of the board. My name is Mary Jo Cram. I'm an MNPS teacher and parent. One of my subjects is U.S. history, so I'd like to give you a little history lesson tonight. Before about 1850, most teachers in America were men. But by the late 1880s, the majority became women. What happened to change that? What kind of discussions did school boards have about that time? Here's a quote from the School Committee of Littleton, Massachusetts in 1849. It seems a very poor policy to pay a man $20 or $22 a month for teaching children the ABCs when a female could do the work more successfully at 1/3 the price. Isn't that infuriating? Of course, this was not an isolated incident. Across the country in the mid-19th century, school boards hired women teachers at low salaries as a cost-saving measure so that taxes could remain low even as the number of students increased. 170 years later, 89% of elementary school teachers are women, and they earn about 33% less than comparable college graduates. History shows that teachers are underpaid because we are women, and this low pay ensures that men continue to avoid the profession, depriving our students of positive male role models. Now it's your job to correct this historical injustice. I know it sounds like a lot to adjust our salary schedule with raises over 30%, but really all it would mean is teachers would be earning no more and no less than we would have been earning all along if we were men. I couldn't confirm this with historical research, but it's a fair assumption that this 1849 Littleton School Committee was all a bunch of men. Luckily, we have a very different situation here in Nashville in 2020. Wouldn't it be inspiring if our first woman superintendent and our all-female school board voted to end the pay gap between men and women by uplifting our feminized, underpaid profession with a historic pay increase? The bold women leaders of MNPS have an amazing opportunity this year to support and promote and invest in other women. I'd like to end with a quote from Michelle Obama. As women, we must stand up for ourselves. As women, we must stand up for each other. And as women, we must stand up for justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. Gauntlet has been thrown. Are you Andrew Record?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, Chair, Dr. Battle, and members of the board. I'm Andrew Record, and I live at 2804 Belmont Boulevard. I just moved to Nashville last fall, actually, so this is my first year in Metro. I teach at Apollo Middle School, and I wish I could stand up here and tell you that things there are perfect. I wish I could tell you that teachers at Apollo have all the resources we need to teach. I wish I could tell you that we're all well-rested and well-paid, and that because of this, we're a tight-knit group who have deep roots in our school community. I really, really wish this was a story I could tell you tonight about my first year in Metro. The truth, though, is more familiar. Apollo is hurting. In my 8th grade team alone, we started the year with 2 teacher vacancies, and we're on track now to end with more vacancies than we began. We have so many vacancies that our dean and 2 of our instructional coaches have been pulled to teach core subject classes. It's not that these teachers didn't care about their students. It's that they found it impossible to do their jobs. They were working multiple jobs to make ends meet. School responsibilities keep growing, and the time we have to do it all shrinks. Oftentimes, there's 1 working printer in the whole building. Right now, we have 3 working bathrooms for 600 students. Teachers stay 45 minutes to an hour after school every day waiting with students for their bus to come because their drivers have had to double up on routes. Are these the conditions that our district wants for our students? I know y'all don't. I know y'all don't. And please trust teachers when we tell you we want to do our jobs well. And we know what we need to be able to do our jobs well. This is what we mean when we demand dignity in the classroom. We fight for public education because we believe that everyone, regardless of what zip code they live in, regardless of their family's wealth or income level or previous education, no matter their race, their ethnicity, their language, their gender identity, sexual orientation, documentation, ability, regardless of their housing situation or where they've been or what they've done in the past, literally everyone, by virtue of their humanity, deserves a free and freeing education that models and prepares them for full democratic participation in all areas of their lives. A budget is a moral document because it shows us where our priorities are. It declares to the city what matters to us. For those of us who say we fight for public education, the budget is our chance to put our money where our mouth is. And that's why we're here tonight, because the people who are affected most by this budget, our students, they don't get to vote on this budget. The 10 of y'all do. So until the people affected most by these issues get to make the decisions, we're going to keep showing up here asking you to do the moral thing. Thank you for your time and for all your work.
Isaac Witt. Isaac Witt, are you here tonight?
He couldn't make it either, sorry.
Is he? Okay. Sonia Thomas, is Ms. Thomas here? Thank you.
Good evening. How are y'all doing today?
Good.
My name is Sonia Thomas. My zip code is 37207. I am a parent of Nashville Propel, and the Propel stands for Parents Requiring Our Public Education System to Lead. And I want to ask my Propel parents to please stand with me. This week, I received a phone call from a parent. I was in the middle of a meeting and was getting multiple texts. So I stopped my meeting and called the parent. And the parent was devastated. She had a nephew who went to Waverly Belmont, and the child had received a lesson. And the lesson's title was, Let's Make a Slave. And so today, I want to rewind the tape. And I want to ask you guys to pretend like you're fourth graders in a classroom. And so I'm going to miseducate you on Black history today. And I'm going to go over how to make a slave. And I'm going to read this to you. And one thing I want you to remember is, this not only impacted African American students, but also Caucasian students. Let's make a slave. Let us make a slave. What do we need? First of all, we need a Black man, a pregnant woman, and her baby boy. Second, we will use the same basic principle that we use in breaking a horse, combined with some sustaining factors. What we do with horses is that we break them from one form of life to another. That is, we reduce them from their natural state in nature, for fear that our future generations may not understand the principles of breaking both of the beasts together, the black and the horse. Accordingly, both a wild horse and a wild or natural black is dangerous, even if captured, for they will have the tendency to seek their customary freedom, and in doing so, might kill you in your sleep. You cannot rest. They sleep while you're awake and are awake while you are asleep. They are dangerous near the family house, and it requires too much labor to which them away from the house. Above all, you cannot get them to work in this natural state. This was the lesson given to fourth graders. They were told that they didn't have to participate because it was violent and it was vulgar, yet they did. So I say to you, everyone in this room, do you think that this is an appropriate assignment for fourth graders? This is not Black history. This is a stain on America's history.
Is Nina Lockhart here? Thank you.
Good evening, Dr. Battle, Madam Chair, and board members. My name is Nina C. Lockhart. I live in zip code 37207. I'm a Nashville native. I come from a family of long educators. I'm a very proud mother of 3 African-American boys. My middle son attended Waverly Belmont from 1st through 4th grade, and my youngest son is currently a 4th grader at Waverly Belmont. I stand before you today as a concerned parent about a social studies lesson on how to make a slave. This content from an alleged speech by Willie Lynch in the 1800s. I stand here in 2020 presenting this lesson as if it's just a recipe of gathering ingredients that's dehumanizing, especially for the African American community. I am deeply saddened by this lesson, was presented and taught with no oversight from teachers or administration. I'm highly disappointed that this lesson was presented as a history lesson during Black History Month. This month, February, is a time to celebrate and honor our African Americans, our great African Americans that have made things and accomplishments within the United States. For African American students, data, along with society's attitudes and stereotypes, often present a negative picture. How did the lesson of how to make a slave promote positive self-esteem and create positive diversity within a widely diverse school? My hope is that this content will never be a part of any MNPS curriculum, and this issue will not be desensitized. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Thomas?
My name is Chaos. I'm a Nashville writer, poet, actor, activist, historian, and a Vietnam veteran, and I'm also an affiliate of Gideon's Army for the Defense of Children. I'm also the son of Wade H. Thomas Sr., a Tuskegee Airman. He was the founder of Nashville's first minority accounting firm and political action committee. My concern here today is that the schools stop trying to make our children slaves. As it was instigated in a recent Waverly Belmont incident. Instead, I'd like to see this body instigate itself in ways to make the study lesson more inclusive and culturally sensitive, in ways to make more great students and not just good slaves.
Sarah Duran?
Good evening. My name is Sarah Duran, and my zip code is 37207. I'm a middle school English teacher here. It is also my first year in Metro Nashville Public Schools, but it is actually my 8th year of teaching. Teaching is my passion. It's my life. But like many of my colleagues have said, I don't really know how much longer I can continue to be a teacher here in Nashville. What it comes down to, like they have said, is dignity. The salary that I take home is not one that allows me to live with dignity. The lack of materials in my classroom does not allow my students to learn with dignity, and the deficiency in the resources that are in our school system doesn't allow our communities to exist with dignity. The message that Nashville sends out to the world is that the city is thriving, but how can we really say that when our schools and the people in them are not? The reality is that the system that we work in and that we live in is one of oppression and marginalization. Obviously, very directly, like we have just heard, but indirectly through many of the things that we have spoken about tonight. First, the wages that we pay our teachers and support staff disproportionately affect women and our Black and brown workers. This perpetuates the system of racialized and gendered poverty. We can't invest in the communities that we're serving, and I believe the term for that is de facto segregation. And it doesn't just stop at our teachers. Today, one of my students introduced me to a new hashtag. That's hashtag Nashville So White, because they know that the funding that is coming into their school looks very different than the funding that's going into the schools that are predominantly white. Our students are very, very smart. They are watching. They can see what's happening, and we are sending them the wrong message. The message that they're getting is that they're not worth it, that they're not worth the investment in the teachers who are going to help shape their lives, that they're not worth actually having enough materials for all of them to go around, and that the investment is not worth it for the supports they need to navigate the difficulties that they're going to experience. Our teachers and our students and our communities deserve the dignity that we stand for. And ultimately, what we're asking is that we can't allow this problem to be written off yet again as one of not enough money, because really what it comes down to is that ignores the systems of oppression and marginalization that are perpetuated by underfunding our public schools. Virtually every other system in our society presents challenges that will keep our students down. Metro can't continue to be one of those systems, and you can't allow Metro to continue to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Council Lady Tanaka Virgin.
Thank you, Chair, Dr. Battle, school board members. I am Councilwoman Tanaka Vircher, and I am here to speak on the matter that made national news, the Black History Month assignment at Waverly Belmont. I was back in the back with some families and playing with the kids and heard a lot of comments as it related to dignity. But I want to stand before you and also with the Propel parents that we are advocating and speaking on a different kind of dignity, and that's dignity in the classroom. It's without saying, enslavement of people, specifically people of African descent, was politically, socially, and economically central to the founding of these United States of America. And we all know that. I don't have to stand before you and give you a history lesson. But as a district and as a city, it is on us to make sure that we are culturally competent. I believe I stood before you on another matter and used those same words. And I use those same words because the NEA uses those same words as it relates to educators closing the achievement gap. So it wasn't a council member's words, it's by one of your organizations that leads the competencies and goals that you set forth as it relates to educating our children. It is all on us to ensure that the school environment cultivates learning of inquisitiveness, motivation, nurtures self-confidence, but more importantly, safe and welcoming. I know that sounds elementary, but in my research, nowhere on the MNPS website do we use those words. Google several other districts, and they do. Why is that important now? Because of the assignment. And it's much more larger than the assignment. As a council member, I'm here because of what that assignment says to the city, what that assignment says to parents. Would there be an assignment on how to make an immigrant detention center? Would there be an assignment? I have to pause because it's just, I can't believe I'm here having to speak on this. Would there be an assignment to talk about how to make a concentration camp? I think we all would agree that in any environment of learning, that those topics are highly, highly hurtful and doesn't aid to the learning environment for anyone's child. If we're going to provide instruction about oppression and resistance, it has to be in a humane context. And nothing about enslaving people is in a humane context. We failed. We failed. There are no proper checks and balances as it relates to this assignment. And please, please, again, and I think I said this before when I came down here and spoke about cultural competence on another matter. For Black History Month, let's keep it to focusing on the strengths and humanity of the culture of those that were enslaved. We can't perpetuate ideas or systems that hurts us all. Thank you for your time.
Council Lady Delicia Porterfield.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Dr. Battle, and to the school board members. Thank you for your service, and to my school board member, Frida. Thank you all, friend. Thank you guys so much. I'm also here to speak about the assignment on Let's Make a Slave, and I'm sure, like all of you, I was hurt, frustrated, and very angry when I first found out about this. Before I speak on it, though, I want to tell you a little bit about an experience that I had. I remember when I was a little girl and my grandmother worked in the mall, and one day she gave me some money and said that I could go next door to the cookie store to buy some cookies. And as a child, being able to go and buy something with money that you were given and not having something given to you, it's a really exciting experience. And I stood in line with my money and I was excited and I was ready to make my purchase. And when it was my turn at the counter, the person who was working told me to wait, put up her finger and said, wait. And a white woman that walked up behind me, she told her to come up. And she helped that woman before she helped me. And I remember that as a small child. And I remember thinking, did she tell her to come up because she was an adult and I'm a child? Did she tell her to come up because she was white and I'm black? And it was such a confusing and frustrating moment. And it was a moment in which a piece of my innocence was taken away from me. And you can ask any African American, and I can guarantee they can tell you the first time that they experienced blatant racism, because that is a moment that you never forget. That is a moment that you will never get back. And now we have a classroom full of fourth grade students, 10 years old, that have experienced this trauma, and we do not have a way to rectify that. I was going to read a part of that speech, that assignment that was given, but Sonia already read it. I sent my 12-year-old, who's a 7th grader, I sent her out because I did not want her to hear it, because I didn't want her to experience that same trauma that those 4th graders experienced. The question is, how do we make those students whole now? What can we do to go back and rectify that situation? Because we can't change it, it's already happened, but what can we do to provide support to those students? I have a few suggestions here for you guys, and there may be suggestions that you've already thought of, and I trust your judgment that you guys will move forward with the best thing to help those students. But can we look at getting more counselors or social emotional counselors at that school to work with the students that experience that trauma, as well as the other students in that school? Because as we know, students talk. So now you have a situation where some students who experience this may be saying other things to other students. When I was a teacher at Williamson County, I had an experience where a young man called one of the African-American students a slave and said, hey, pick my pencil up, slave. And I know how upset that African-American student was and how quickly that spread through the school. So we have to make sure that we're providing support to the whole school and not just that grade level. I know that from being a former educator that we do have grade level plannings. I know that there should be a supervising teacher. From what I've read, the supervising teacher was there. There does need to be a better policy on making sure that our supervising teachers are working with our student teachers and that they're following any policy that MNPS has in place. There needs to be a better policy on parents being notified on issues like this, because it's unacceptable for parents to find out in the media when these things happen. There needs to be a better policy on MNPS being notified when these things happen so that you all are not blindsided. And also we need to make sure that we're working with the universities who are sending us student teachers to fine-tune the policies of what they will be teaching our students. Because not only was that lesson damaging, if you research the Willie Lynch letter, it's fake. It was a hoax, and it has been debunked by multiple historians. So you cannot teach that as a factual document. It was not appropriate for the age level, but it is also not factual. And you all may have some of these policies in place, but I ask that you work with our schools and our teachers on a better implementation of these policies. Thank you for your time.
Next, we'll move into our governance issues, our organization, and we'll do consent agenda as we have in the past. It will be approved. We will not read it out loud. It's available online, and we will approve it. Ms. Fogg.
I just wanted to pull D and E off of the consent agenda.
Okay. All right, so can I get a show of hands to to approve the consent agenda as printed with the exception of items D and E, please. All in favor? Any opposed? Unanimous vote, Ms. Bobo. Okay, so we will discuss item D first. Ms. Bobo.
Tonight I brought a resolution regarding public school funding in the state of Tennessee, so I'll just read that. Whereas the Metropolitan Nashville Board of Education is responsible for the expenditure of funds, academic programming, and learning outcomes of public schools under its jurisdiction, and whereas Tennessee schools and students earn high learning results and lead the region in graduation rates and statewide ACT scores, and whereas these successes occur despite education funding in the bottom 10 states in our nation, and whereas the state of Tennessee fails to fund public education consistent with our neighboring states, investing less per student than all states in the region except Mississippi, and whereas Tennessee nationally ranks 45th in per student funding, far below neighboring states such as Alabama, Kentucky, and Arkansas, and whereas it is universally understood that competitive teacher salaries are critical at a time when attracting and retaining teachers is increasingly difficult, and whereas Tennessee ranks in the middle of southern states for teacher salary but is still in the bottom third nationally, and whereas the lack of state education funding has a negative impact on teaching and learning and meeting the needs of Tennessee students, and whereas most southeastern states fund K through 12 primarily through state investment, while Tennessee pays less than 50% of the funding required to run our schools, and whereas while the state has made some increases to K through 12 funding in recent years, our public schools continue to lack the resources necessary for students to succeed, with more than half of Tennessee schools lacking full-time positions such as librarians, art or music teachers, reading or math specialists, counselors, or school nurses. Therefore, be it resolved that we, the Metropolitan Nashville Board of Education, respectfully ask the Governor and General Assembly to increase state funding necessary to move Tennessee to the southeast average of per student investment and lift Tennessee out of the bottom 10 states nationally in public school funding. And I would just like to move that we adopt this resolution as read.
Can I get a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion? Okay. 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 By show of hands, I'll approve the resolution as read by Ms. Brogue. Opposed? None? Unanimous. Okay. And now we'll move on to E, the legal settlement.
So this is the next in our in several sexual harassment lawsuits that have been brought against the district, and I felt that we should say something at this point because it pains me to pay out this amount of money that we're now spending on these sexual harassment lawsuits, which are now in the millions. But I want to say that we really don't have a history of this at MNPS. We've had several sexual harassment lawsuits that happened within a 2.5-year period of the prior administration. I've been on the board 8 years. Other than that time period, we've had 0. And we've got to do better. I know Dr. Battle is committed to this as well, but we have high expectations. We don't want to see this to continue happening, but in the meantime, we are addressing lingering issues, and so I am going to vote to approve this tonight. But I do want to comment that I take sexual harassment very seriously, and we don't expect to see this going forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Fogg. All right. So we're okay with going forward?
Yes, I'm sorry.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and vote on item E on the consent agenda. All in favor?
I did make a motion, I don't think. I'll move to approve it. Sorry. I'll move to approve the settlement of $425,000.
Okay, and seconded by Ms. Spearing. Okay, all in favor? Any discussion around that? Okay, all in favor? Show of hands. Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you very much. We will have board committee reports. Ms. Spearing, you want to go start?
Today we had our Teaching and Learning Committee meeting, which was a great hour of discussion about 2 topics. One was what we previously called MNPS Next, which is now called MNPS Reimagined. I love that. and the second one was Schools of Innovation. And Dr. Norris and Dr. Griffin outlined extraordinary plans that are multifaceted and focus on academics and student achievement. Some aspects of the plan include moving 5 schools off the priority list, offering extended learning time to districts, and this will be done to various clusters, but the first 3 priorities for the extended learning time will be Maplewood, Pearl Cone, and Whites Creek. And this extended learning time will also be contingent and will build on the existing strengths of the school. Also, plans include consolidation of Graymar and Jerry Baxter School, and what will be exciting to so many of our parents is moving 5th grade back to elementary school. And this, again, is a process. It won't happen overnight, but these are the plans that were presented to us tonight that were very great to hear. How do we get there? We get there through talent management with focus on outstanding teachers and community support, personalized strategies including a commitment to 3rd grade, and extended day with focus on climate and culture. And our next Teaching and Learning Committee meeting is scheduled for March 24th, when we will talk about STEAM. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Pooper Walker, you want to talk about budget finance?
Absolutely. So we were fortunate that Mayor Cooper stopped by at the very beginning of our Budget and Finance Committee meeting to signal to us his dedication to partnering with us and to working collaboratively to develop a budget together. So that was super encouraging. And then Dr. Battle laid out a really comprehensive overview of their strategy, our strategy around fully funding all of the really important pieces to our budget. And so if you're interested in hearing more about that presentation in more detail, we have community meetings that are on the website, February 17th, 24th, 26th, and 27th. There's more of that online, and we'll revisit that in the announcements. But it's really important for folks to engage and ask questions and stay involved, but very encouraging first step in talking about our budget tonight.
Thank you very much. We will go on to announcements. Ms. Barron, can we start with you?
Yes. There will be a roundtable discussion at Maplewood on February the 17th from 1 to 2 o'clock. And I really appreciate all of the teachers that are here tonight. Would you just stand up and let us acknowledge you? I know several of you have already left. We appreciate hearing from you, and we think that you have, this is not easy to work a hard, long day and then come in to a board meeting and stay till 6:30 at night. So thank you for expressing your concerns and letting us know what you think. That's important to us. I want to, I'm just going to mention real quickly that these bags came from Donna Gilley and also David Hines contributed, and it is a way of saying Happy Valentine's Day to everyone, and with appreciation for the work that you do. So I hope that everyone has a great Valentine's Day. Thanks.
Last week I had an opportunity to go to the School of Math and Science, so it was kind of apropos that our student, Catherine Wright, is a student there, and it was a great program. I thoroughly enjoyed my experience there, seeing the kids come up with these very complex science experiments that were very unique and innovative in their own right, and working with professors and graduate students from Vanderbilt assisting in doing the program. So I just want to acknowledge that program with Dr. Leeds and Ms. Nixon and Dr. Unar. Hope I just butchered your name. Sorry about that. And so I was really impressed by that. Also, one of the main things I was impressed by that it's not a gifted program, and they want diverse students. And the application ended this week. So if there are students out there, you have a passion an interest in science or in STEM or engineering, this is a great program. If it's for 8th graders, so this is the 8th grader part. So it's not too late to apply to the program. Please do. And you do not have to be a gifted student to be a part of the program and to learn. So hopefully you'll take advantage of one of the unique programs that we have here in Metro Schools. And then to the second part, I think that there's an ongoing theme of dignity and respect. And at least speak on behalf of myself, that all work has dignity, all work deserves respect. And it doesn't cost money. And I know from this platform, I will say that every chance that I have, no matter if you're a support staff, if you're a teacher, if you're central office, you're director of schools, you deserve a level of dignity and respect. And I know, at least from my point, that's one of the moral compasses that I use as this platform as an elected leader. So I do hear you. Hopefully that we will come together and let other levels of government understand that dignity and respect, and that's shown in very different ways. Financial is one other thing, but also creating an atmosphere for you to work and for you to thrive and to understand where you're coming from as teachers, no matter if you're a first-year teacher or a veteran teacher of 30-plus years, that we hear you. We are working hard towards that. There's always a struggle of finite resources, and we plan to advocate for that. But dignity and respect is not a finite resource. It can always be given. It can always be preached. It can always be given and doesn't cost anything. So at least from my perspective, hopefully we can do that as a board and as me personally. To the students and to the parents who have come to this difficult issue with the Willie Lynch letter, I know that Dr. Battle has worked with that. And understand that students also have dignity and respect. It's a difficult issue. Race relations here in Nashville has long history, has a complex history. We're still working through that history, and we still current it, and even at a national level, that has seeped down to local level. And so knowing that we do hear you, it's a complex issue, and hopefully we can learn from this experience and learn how to deal with race relations, race issue, race history in the way that should be done, and that's done with delicacy, with foundation, and done in a way that that students can still learn from our nation's history, but learn it in the way that's appropriate at the right time, at the right age, and at the right level.
Thank you. Ms. Bush.
Thank you. I'm going to say two serious things, and I'm going to end it with something very happy. Teachers, if you don't mind, would you stand again for me, please? Just stand for me. And I ask you to stand because you are standing up for what you believe in, and you do it every single day. And I want to tell you how much I appreciate you, because it hits home for me on a daily basis with my own children, because I still have kids in Metro schools. All of my kids have attended Metro schools. I am a product of Metro Nashville Public Schools. And I know how it looked back then, and I know how it looks now. And I want you to know I feel your pain. I have a son who's come home not once, but twice. Once, Mom, my chemistry teacher left. She's no longer with us. My chemistry teacher that I love is no longer with us. And when he got his progress report, there was no grade. No grade. Because he had no teacher. Second, he came home again over the break when we had our snow day. And he said, Mom, I didn't get a chance to tell my math teacher goodbye. I said, what do you mean? He said, he too left. I have no math teacher. I looked at his progress report, and he said, don't look at that grade, Mom. It's not a true grade. He just didn't have time to put his grades in before he left us. So I feel you. I understand. My kids understand, and our kids are watching, and they need you, and we need you, and we want to tell you how much we appreciate you, and we are listening, and we're going to get this right. We're going to get it right. It may take a little time, but we're going to get this right. So just trust and believe me that this board is committed to making sure we take care of you, because if you leave us, our kids are without education. And my son is living that now. So I appreciate you. We thank you. We love you. And we are going to do right by you. So I just want to tell you, thank you for all that you do. Please don't leave us just yet. Please, please, please. We need you. And I promise you, we're going to continue to do what we have to do. Dr. Battle has committed, this board has committed to making sure that we can do everything we can in our power in this next budget season. The mayor is listening to you. Keep being loud and proud about what you do and how you're fighting every single day. So thank you. We thank you. Thank you, guys. The second thing I want to talk about is the assignment that was given to our fourth graders over at Waverly Belmont. This is the second assignment that has been assigned to our students, and it was racially insulting. And like Amy said, when it comes to our sexual harassment or harassment policy, this will be the last time we'll have an assignment like that. The very last time. We understand how critical it is and how our young minds are definitely devastated by these type of assignments. And it is no place and it is no room to be in Metro Nashville Public Schools. So you do have our commitment. You have Dr. Battle's commitment that we're going to make sure we have the conversations, if it's with student teachers, if it's with our teachers, that we need to make sure we send a message that we have to be very, very careful about the assignments that we give our students, especially when it comes to history, because history is sensitive and we need to respect history. And on the third thing, I told you guys I'm going to say something happy, right? So on the 17th of February, we're going to have out at the Cane Ridge our budget hearing, and it's my birthday. So come out and give me a hug, and I would love to give you one back. So you guys have a wonderful night. Happy Valentine's Day, and you guys take care.
So last week I had several speaking opportunities at community meetings, and I used the chance to talk a lot about funding and the need for greater funding and about equity and those kinds of things. So I just want to say, teachers, we are with you. Principals, we're with you. We're going to do everything we can to support you. Last week, I spoke with Frida Player-Peters at the League of Women Voters about we sort of gave an update on local education issues. I spoke at a Bellevue community meeting and also got to participate on a panel with Lynn Hoyt. She did a wonderful presentation on community schools and wraparound services and the great impact they're having overall, and particularly on H.G. Hill, which is my children's school. So those are good opportunities. And if you all want to come to a repeat performance with me and Frida, we're going to be speaking again tomorrow night, the 12th, Wednesday the 12th, at the Green Hills Library from 6 to 7 p.m. So we would invite you to join us.
Ms. Bugs.
Yes, so I would like to thank all the teachers that came out to the Ed Camp Nash event this past Saturday. If you're not familiar with it, the Educators Cooperative is just a bringing together of different teachers from around Nashville, no matter where they work, and they share best practices. Greg has just he's built this space for teachers to share their best practices, to share their stories, to ask their questions. So please feel free to reach out to me or just Google Educators Cooperative if you have any questions about it. I would like to send a special shout out to Councilman Jeff Syracuse and all of the central office staff and downtown community partners who visited with us to have a conversation about Hume Fogg parking. If you've ever visited Hume Fogg, if you've ever attended Hume Fogg, you know what that's like. I'll just say I didn't realize police were in there to help talk through this with us, and I may or may not have parked illegally. So it was made real for me. Anytime I go there for a basketball game or anything, it is like, I'm not even gonna say what it's like. It's just hard to find parking. So thank you for at least talking through some of those issues with us. We don't have a clear next steps, but we'll continue to partner with the downtown community, continue to take the advice of central office staff, so thank you all. Warner, oh my gosh, of course I love Warner. I love all of my schools, but Warner is having a career week, not a career day. Again, that'll be in March. I don't have the exact date, so if you have any questions or want to participate, please feel free to reach out. But I highlight them because they
they're a STEAM magnet school, so they do a combination of highlighting the arts and the STEM, the STEM community. So we'll have dancers from TPAC, but you'll also have music technicians. You'll have songwriters and guitar players, but you will also have physicists and doctors. And no, those things are not mutually exclusive. That's the beauty of all of this. So I just appreciate the work that they're doing. All of our STEAM magnet schools are just ratcheting up their involvement with the community and the supports that they're offering. So thank you for the work that you do. And I am really, really excited to tell you all that February 26th will be MNPS Day on the Hill. Now, before you groan, because we will be doing it in the middle of the day, the only reason we are not doing it during spring break is because if you are watching the legislature, many of those legislators are anxious to close out their season, the legislative season, and the legislative season will be over before our spring break, meaning they will have stopped their education subcommittee meetings. They will likely still be meeting with constituents here and there, but we've decided to try to catch as many of those Davidson County delegates or just really any legislator that we can on February 26th. We'll put out more information about that as we have it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pooper Walker.
I just want to reiterate that the community meetings on the budget are at Cane Ridge High School on February 17th, McGavock High School on February 24th, IT Crestwell on the 26th, and Hillwood on the 27th. Kindergarten applications opened yesterday, and so it's an exciting time for families registering kindergartners, if you remember that feeling. So encourage folks to register. Last week was School Counselor Week, and it's it can't overstate the value that counselors bring. Excited to hear that we hope to decrease the counselor-to-student ratio here and to show more love to our counselors. So thank you, counselors. And the other thing I want to say is for the first time, MNPS has posted all of the charter applications that have come to us, as well as a timeline and what the process is like. I appreciate the transparency, and I'm hoping people will take a look and understand what this process entails. It's a constant conversation here, but I think the more people that are engaged and understand what the process looks like, what the criteria is, then we can have a fuller discussion. So I think it's great to have that up and transparent. That's all I have.
Is that Rod? Excuse me.
Thank you. So thank you so much for reminding everybody of what the community meetings are. Of course, I also want you to be aware that there's going to be additional community meetings that are hosted by Councilman Mendez and Vice Mayor Jim Schulman. Those community meetings will be about the budget as a city. So of course, we want you to attend our MNPS meetings so you can give us feedback on what we're saying as our budget proposal. But we also are going to need your advocacy with our city leaders to make sure that we have the avenues for better funding, and we have full, collaboration and better conversations about that. So those will be coming up, and I hope that we'll be able to provide those dates and the locations for them, but they're going to be starting on February the 5th and ending on March 10th. Additionally, I want to make sure that everyone's aware that the SIFE family meeting is going to be happening for the district at Glencliff, and it's going to be on Saturday, April 18th from 1 to 3. SIFE does exceptional work, and they work so incredibly hard, and I'm very proud that they're having a family meeting, and I think it's really important that we all are supportive to not just those students, but those families. And then additionally, at Haywood Elementary, they're having their winter partner meeting this week on the 13th from 12 to 1. And at Haywood Elementary, there's the Read Across America that's going to be happening, and they're still needing volunteers, and that's going to be on Monday, March the 2nd, and it's going to be between 10 and 8, and if you can't commit to the full 2 hours, that's okay. We can work with you on that. So please feel free to volunteer for those things. Thank you so much.
So we had a lot of great reports tonight, this afternoon and this evening, and I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Battle and her team for these great reports. A lot of great news was shared. We have a lot of deep diving to do, a lot of room for thought. So I thought this is actually, in light of the reports that we received from Teaching and Learning and Budget and Finance, that it's a time for us as a board to commit or recommit to supporting Dr. Battle and her team to help them make it through these difficult changes. Consolidation changes are not for the faint of heart. They are very political. They are very personal. They're difficult changes to make, and we have to do it with community support. So we have to do it with, bringing communities together and having discussions about why this would be a better arrangement for you than the prior arrangement. So hopefully we as board members can, lend that support, learn to stay, where we need to stay, and, not get into the weeds on it, but just, be supportive. And, if we have ideas, maybe offer them, but know that ultimately the work boils down to Dr. Battle and her team. So just want to, give you my support in that. And I know it's difficult, but it's something that we have to talk about, and it's, the elephant in the room. So I hope that, as a board, we can come together and commit to doing this. I do want to say thank you to Donna Gilley and David Hans for our Valentine's Day bags. They were really nice. And please come join me on, February 24th at McGavock High School for our budget meeting. With no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.net.